right. Hi, Jason. All right, I'm going to just share my screen and we'll get started. All right. Um, that's better. Okay. Um, so I'm just going to do a brief introduction and then allow Dr. Gallo to also introduce himself and let you know a little bit about him. My name is Alyssa Yesko. I am the director of the Pathways into Education Center. I may have communicated with some of you already, but our office works really closely with prospective students, students who are interested in our programs, who have questions. We also work with our undergraduate students on our combined programs. We work with teacher certification. So we're sort of like a one-stop shop for the School of Education. And if we can't answer your questions, we try to find the person who can help you out. And then we have Dr. Gallo here, who is the director of the Masters in Mental Health Counseling program, and I'll let him introduce himself as well. Oh, you're muted, Jason. Sorry.
So as Alyssa just let you all know, I'm the director of the Masters in Mental Health Counseling program. I'm also the division director in the Division of Counseling Psychology. Our division has a PhD program and a mental health counseling program. I can be a point of contact and answer questions for anything related to our programs. I'm glad people are joining today and look forward to Alyssa's presentation, and then I'll be around to answer any additional questions people have.
Thanks, Jason. And I mentioned we have a lot of submitted questions, so we're going to get to those too. So when people register, they had lots of great questions that we'll also get to.
Sounds good.
So of course, let's talk about the field in general before we dive into our programs. So why work in a mental health field? I'm sure you guys all have your own personal reasons, but these are some of the reasons that a lot of our students choose to pursue this work. You're involved in a helping profession. So, by nature, a mental health counselor is a person who helps others, and knowing that you can play a part in affecting the lives of other people. You're able to develop your own identity as a counselor. So, who you want to be and how you want to work with other people, that's something that you sort of create yourself, hopefully with a foundation provided by your program, hopefully our program. You help people learn to make healthy decisions about themselves, their relationships, and their future. So, the end goal and the hope is that you're improving the lives of the people that you work with. More logistically, you're able to work where you want. So there's many different areas within the mental health counseling field that you can work. And then there's also location-wise, lots of different places you can work. We've actually even had some of our more recent graduates who have pursued work in remote counseling positions. And then, of course, each day will be different. You'll continue to learn throughout your career. And so, it's not a monotonous position by any means. So for our program, it is accredited by the Masters in Psychology and Counseling Accreditation Council. And it's also approved by New York State Office of Professions for preparation for licensure. In our program, we include targeted coursework in behavioral science and counseling theory and practice, combined with practical experiences pretty much throughout the entire program in a counseling setting. Throughout the program, you learn to guide others in their personal growth and employ therapeutic methods to remediate conflict. The program is made up of, it's a 60 credit program, 60 credits total with coursework in the behavioral sciences and counseling theory and practice, along with elective courses. And then your field experience also takes up some of that 60 credits, including a pre-practicum, a practicum, which includes 210 hours in a community agency or school, and an internship that is 600 hours in a community agency. Students also complete the mandated child abuse reported training and a comprehensive exam. A little bit more about the courses, and I'm not going to necessarily read each of the courses that are required for the program. But this just gives you a really great overview of the types of things you would be learning in the program, the types of courses that you would be taking. And then again, at the bottom, the electives and the fieldwork requirements are 9 credits and 15 credits. And then the courses up top are what make up the other part of the 60 credits. I do just want to briefly mention, in case we have any University at Albany undergraduate students here with us, we do offer a combined program option for our students. This allows students to apply to the mental health counseling master's program in their junior year if you're a UAlbany student and you meet certain criteria, and begin taking graduate level coursework that goes toward the master's in mental health counseling in your senior year. This is open only to those in the human development or psychology majors. And this is the only instance where the GRE requirements are waived. There are no other situations where we waive the GRE requirement, just for our combined students. Students will typically apply in their junior year. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the deadlines for that, because we've actually just made some changes there. And then, like I said, you're able to take graduate coursework in your senior year that can double count both toward your undergraduate degree and toward the master's in mental health counseling. This allows you to save money because you're paying undergraduate tuition for graduate coursework in your senior year, and then lighten your course load during your time in the master's program once you enter that program full time. So you don't graduate from the master's program any quicker, but when you start the program, instead of the 60 credits that you have from the time that you start full time, you would then instead have 48. If I'm doing my math correctly. So like some of your cohort members may be taking 12 credits in a semester and you may be taking 9. So it just allows you to lighten the course load throughout. Some frequently asked questions. How long does the program take? This program takes 18 months. There were a couple of questions about accelerating or shortening the program, but this program is actually already a pretty accelerated program. Many other masters in mental health counseling programs take 2 full years. And so the way that our program is structured, it still gets you through it pretty quickly. It begins in the summer only. So remember that there is only a summer start date. Students start in the summer. There's one application deadline, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And usually the coursework for that summer session starts in either May or early June. And then students will typically graduate in December of their second year. So the sequence would be that first summer semester, a fall, spring, summer, and fall semester. Can the program be done part-time? This program is designed to be completed full-time. There are not, as far as I know, and Dr. Gallo, you can jump in, there are not many circumstances where part-time would work, because once you get to the clinical components, which happens pretty early in the program, full-time is the only option. Go ahead.
So part-time, the part-time option requires doubling the length of the master's program. So full-time, it is an 18-month program. Because of the sequencing of the practical work, every course has to be done in a certain order, a certain sequence. If you go part-time, you can't start that until you get a certain amount of prerequisite courses done. So it lengthens the time of the program. So it's an option that, but it's not common. And if it does, it just lengthens the time of the program substantially.
Thank you.
Sure.
And we did also receive some questions about working during the program. Working during the program can be difficult, specifically for people who are looking to maintain full-time jobs during the program. The reason why that becomes very difficult and nearly impossible once you reach the practicum and internship phases is because you're spending time in your clinical setting during the day. And at some points that becomes relatively full-time. Is that right, Dr. Gallo? Yeah. Some students, I will say, they have been able to hold part-time and very flexible employment outside of the program, where their other employer knows that, you know, scheduling around coursework and practicum and internship requirements is the priority, and that students are able to do that. But maintaining a full-time job during the program is not possible. Are there any prerequisites for the program? Yes, there are. There are some programs that lead to licensure as a mental health counselor that do require that you have a psychology major. ours does not. We require 15 credit hours in psychology, including a course in statistics. Now, if you've taken a statistics course outside of a psychology department, let's say in another department, we will accept that. However, if you have not yet taken a statistics course, we do recommend that you take that within a psychology department so that you are sort of learning about statistics through the lens that you'll be using in the program. We also require an abnormal psychology course. You would be able to identify that course because that's typically the name of the course. So if you're looking for that class, it's typically called abnormal psychology. And then the remaining credits are courses that are focused on personality theory and development. Psych 101 will count as one of the 15 credit hours of psychology coursework needed. And so those other courses that focus on personality theory and development, you can usually garner that by looking at the course name or course description to see if it meets that criteria. If you do have any questions about the prerequisite coursework, please feel free to reach out to our office and we can always connect you with the department to answer questions about that. I'll also mention that those 15 credit hours of psychology should be done prior to starting the program. And so we would need those 15 credit hours completed by the time you start the program, but not necessarily by the time you apply. There are some students who are still finishing up those prerequisite requirements in the spring semester, and obviously our deadline is in December. We do also require a GPA above a 3.0 or recommend a GPA above a 3.0, although this recommendation is higher for students who are applying through the combined program where there is a 3.5 recommended GPA. And research experience is not mandatory, but is certainly helpful. How many students are admitted each year? Typically around 25 to 30 students are admitted each year. In the 2019-2020 school year, there were 63 applicants, 40 students accepted, and 37 students enrolled. And that was a rather large class. I don't have more updated data, but Jason, can you confirm this is pretty typical for a given year?
Yeah, we typically get somewhere in the probably 60 to 90 applicants. It can vary a little bit. We usually accept somewhere in the mid 30s. It depending on a variety of things. It can range between 33 or so to 37. So that's the usual. We try to keep the program incoming cohorts in the 30 to 35 range because we think that's the best for the course sizes and training of the students.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there a connection to the PhD in counseling psychology? There is some overlapping coursework between this program and our PhD in counseling psychology here at UAlbany, but it is a separate program. So it's not like they're directly connected where one leads directly to the others. Some master's graduates have successfully applied and been admitted to our department's PhD program, but like I said, it's not directly linked. But our students have also done well in applying and being admitted to accredited doctoral programs at other institutions across the country. So if you are thinking about doctoral study, just know it's a great foundation. It's a great place to start. Many PhD programs do accept like transfer and previous graduate credit toward their program. So this is a wonderful place to start. And then for our program, can I transfer previous graduate courses in? Yes. This program actually offers a very generous transfer policy of applicable coursework. So you may transfer up to 29 credits of graduate psychology that align with our program. So because our program leads to licensure, the coursework that we accept would have to be somewhat equivalent to the courses that we offer or require in our program in order to count, but we will certainly consider your previous graduate coursework. Essentially, you would work with your advisor once you're enrolled to determine if your previous coursework is applicable. In what ways can I fund my graduate studies? So I will say a lot of the questions that were submitted had to do with funding graduate studies. I want to just let you guys know those questions are absolutely important and valid, but my office and we in the School of Education are not the best place to go for that information. Our Office of Financial Aid and Student Accounts can answer questions about tuition, fees, aid, payment plans. But I can let you know that there are scholarships available university-wide, which you can find You can find out about that on the financial aid website. And then we also have School of Education specific scholarships, which I really like to mention because it's a much smaller pool that you're applying against. I'm going to pull up this is just our page that it describes our previous year's application cycle for our School of Education scholarships. They happen that you can apply for them once a year, and you can apply for them each year that you're in a program. The applications are typically made available in December, and I think they're typically due, when were they due last year? In February. So this previous cycle, they were due in February. I point this out because as someone who's applying or has potentially been accepted, you can apply for these scholarships. So if you are applying for this program, the Master's in Mental Health Counseling, in December, you are eligible to apply for these scholarships, even if you are not yet enrolled. So I just want to point this out as a possible opportunity. These are donor-based scholarships, so they don't typically cover the entire cost of tuition, but every little bit helps. And there are lots. So this is the list of scholarships that we offer, several pages long. Essentially, you fill out one application and you check next to each scholarship that you believe that you are eligible for. There are some that are in specialty areas that obviously you might not be eligible for, but there are also some general ones that pretty much everyone might be eligible for. So you can go through this list, complete your application for the scholarships, and check off all of the ones that you're eligible for. Why choose our program? Why our program above other ones that you might be looking into? Our program focuses on excellent supervision, multiculturalism, and our monitoring of in-session behaviors to enhance professional development. Further, our students are not responsible for finding their own placement for practicum and internship experiences. There are other programs that may require that you find your own placements. We have relationships with many clinical practice sites in a full range of mental health services and agencies in this area that we connect you with and we place you with. Our faculty have a range of expertise in the field and are comprehensive yet accelerated. As I mentioned, our program is only 18 months. Curriculum, we're, like I said, a little bit quicker than some of the other programs, but you're still getting a very comprehensive education. Some information for applicants. So what are our requirements for our applications? Transcripts from all schools attended, 3 letters of recommendation, those 15 credits of psychology that I mentioned, a statement of background and goals, and GRE scores. The deadline for this program for all general applicants is December 15th. However, if anyone here is one of our undergraduate students hoping to apply through the combined bachelor's master's program, the deadlines are April 1st and November 1st. So for the transcripts, just some things to be aware of. If you are a UAlbany student or if you previously attended UAlbany, you do not need to request a UAlbany transcript. Those automatically get uploaded to your application through graduate admissions. We do consider your GPA from all institutions and levels. And you can upload unofficial transcripts from other institutions and your application would still be reviewed, but we do need official transcripts in order for you to officially enroll. So official transcripts are absolutely necessary, but if you're just trying to get your application submitted and ready to be reviewed, unofficial transcripts will do. There's great information on the graduate school's website. So I'm going to just show you guys UAlbany Graduate School. This is their main website. If you go over here to admissions and apply to a degree or certificate program, they have excellent and very helpful advice on each aspect of the online application. So steps to apply using the online application portal, and then instructions for all of the different application materials that may be needed. So how to get those submitted to your application in the best way possible to ensure that you're doing everything right and that your application will be submitted on time and reviewed. So I was mentioning transcripts. This tells you exactly how to send those in so that they become a part of your application. Your letters of recommendation, those are submitted directly through the online application portal. So essentially, when you're logged into your application portal, you'll submit contact information for each of your recommenders. The system will send them an email with a link and instructions on how to submit those letters for you. So that all happens electronically. We recommend that letters of recommendation be specific to the program you are applying to whenever possible. Letters of recommendation from professors can be helpful to speak to your academic abilities and capability and potential to be successful at the graduate level. Other letters can come from individuals who have observed you in a professional context. And this is just more of a personal recommendation, but give your recommenders plenty of notice, as well as a hard deadline ahead of the application due date by which you would like them to submit. So reach out to them, ask them to write the letter, let them know about the program that you're applying to. And our application deadline is December 15th. Maybe ask them to submit their letter by December 1st. The reason being, you don't want everything to be ready and completely submitted, and then you're just waiting on your letters of recommendation and December 15th is approaching. It can be really nerve-wracking. So if you let them know, I know when I'm writing a letter of recommendation, I really love a deadline. So if you let them know, please submit this by December 1st, that way you have a good, you can kind of breathe easy that everything is submitted when it needs to be. Your statement of goals or written component for your application, we use this to determine your fit for the program. We read about, what you can offer the program, and it also allows us to evaluate your writing skills. For you, this is your chance to tell us about yourself, right? Like highlight your background and skills, what you hope to get out of your program, talk about your areas of interest within the field. It's really a great chance for us to get to know you. This is also a good place where if you're concerned about any aspect of your application, let's say you had a difficult start in college where your GPA early on was a little bit lower. This is a good place to address any issues with your application, to explain, here's why this was going on, here's how I've made changes, here's how I see myself being successful in the future. The statement of goals should be purposeful and to the point, so about usually 1 to 2 pages. We recommend you do research on the program that you're applying to, and there are also lots of great helpful resources to help you write a strong statement of goals, either online or your career center from your previous institution can also be really helpful. Where to find more information. I'm sure that many of you have already visited our program page, but this is the program page for the Masters in Mental Health Counseling. Great information about the program, what's required. Our graduate bulletin, so this link right here, lets you know about all of the program requirements and the program of study. And then the program page also includes information on application requirements, deadlines, all that good stuff. I have Dr. Gallo's contact information on here as well. Any admissions related questions, you should be reaching out to the graduate school. They oversee, oh, I realize I don't have this back up. They oversee our graduate admissions process. So if you have questions about the application portal, actually, I do want to address one of the questions that has been coming up with the application portal, and some of you may have run into this, where when you go to apply for the Masters in Mental Health Counseling specifically, you're not seeing summer 2024 as an option from the drop-down menu for the term that you'd like to start. My understanding is that if you select your program and then move forward with the application, you can go back to that page where you select the summer 2024 as your term, and then it will show up. It's a glitch within the system. If you are having this problem and you still aren't able to fix it, please reach out to me specifically in the PI Center. This is our contact information, and we can walk you through how to be sure you're applying for the right term. So again, PI Center, I mentioned our office is kind of like everything School of Education. We have Zoom appointments available if you want to chat with someone. We're very responsive to our email. You can also give us a call. But yeah, that's everything that I have. But like I mentioned, we have lots of submitted questions. So I think it would be good to maybe just work our way through these questions with Dr. Gallo, and then we can open it up to any questions that our attendees might have.
Sure.
So first question, how does the program prepare students for licensure?
So our Master's in Mental Health Counseling program is a New York State registered program. What that means is our curriculum and training has already been approved by New York State to meet all the licensure requirements to become a licensed mental health counselor. In order to become a licensed mental health counselor, you have to do three things. You have to get a master's degree that provides the approved education and training experience. That's what we can provide. Then you need to do 3,000 of post-degree supervised hours. That is basically your entry-level position in the field. Think of it like a residency kind of idea for medical doctors. I think that's something people are more familiar with. And then you have to pass the licensing exam. Right now, all the different states have their own license. So licenses for mental health counseling are not transportable yet. What that means is any state that you want to become licensed in, you would have to apply for licensure in all those different states. That's, again, something that's common across many professions. So our program provides New York State's requirements for licensure, which pretty much covers most states, but just be aware that if you're going to move to a state that you know you may move to, you'd want to check what their requirements are as well.
Thank you. The next question is, are there fellowship or assistantship opportunities within this program?
So there aren't any directly through our master's program, but our master's students can find assistantships on campus. Mm-hmm. So there's many assistantships that are campus-wide that master's students are eligible for. So we don't have any that are directly through our master's program, but our master's students have been pretty successful finding on-campus assistantships.
Those are actually posted through the graduate school. So if you had any questions about that, you can reach out to the graduate school for those questions. What happens after I submit my application?
So when you submit your application, it goes into our application file. If all the materials that are required are in there, meaning GRE, personal statement, and the 3 letters of recommendation, it goes into the completed pile. And then our review committee starts to look at those applications. Off of the application decision after December 15th will be a decision of inviting people for an interview, or some people will be denied at that spot. And then if you're invited for the interview, your application continues through the process until the final decision is made.
Please discuss the NPCAC certification as it regards to readying me for licensure and practice. Are there any restrictions or difficulties I might expect as someone who hopes to establish a private practice in New York? I actually spoke with a student who submitted this question, and they were thinking specifically about this accreditation versus other types of accreditation, such as CACREP.
Mm-hmm. So NPCAC is accreditation of master's programs in psychology and counseling. CACREP is accreditation of School of Education, even though we are in the School of Education. They're education-based, historically, master's programs. CACREP only accredits master's programs. NPAC accredits programs that can fall within divisions such as ours that have doctoral programs and master's programs. So historically, there have been some differences between the two, but at this point, there aren't any differences in terms of licensure, particularly in New York State. I believe the only state that right now only recognizes CACREP is Kentucky. But every other state, if you see something like CACREP has been around longer for the accreditation of mental health counseling master's programs. So some states, such as New York State, you will see CACREP accredited or equivalent. NPCAC is considered an equivalent. That's why we're a New York State registered program, even though we're not CACREP accredited. And the simple kind of reason we're not CACREP accredited is because of our doctoral research program. CACREP doesn't accredit doctoral research programs. That's the reasoning behind the different accreditations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does the MPCAC, I think you sort of already answered this
Yeah,
question, allow
most
students to become
states have
licensed?
it. Most states don't require an accreditation for licensed mental health counselors. They require the equivalent of a certain education. Some states, if a program is CACREP accredited, it's automatic approved, kind of how we are automatically approved in New York State. But let's say you want to move to Florida, you would have to submit your documentation of the classes you took, your internship, and things like that. But anyone who wants to move to New York State has to do the same thing. So it really doesn't, the accreditation at this point doesn't really impact the licensure opportunities.
Perfect, thank you. How much should I worry about GRE scores, and what are the average GRE scores? So this student also provided some context that they've been out of school for a while.
Sure.
And so they're just a little concerned about preparing for the exam.
Yeah, so the GRE scores, we always think of it as one piece of data as we look at the applicants. So if you have a high GPA, get good letters of recommendation, write a strong statement, but don't do as well on the GRE as you wanted to, it's typically not going to be something that's going to sink you. But it can also be the flip side. You know, if you haven't done well GPA wise, the GRE gives you an opportunity to show that you can do the academic work that's required in a master's program. You know, so it's really, it's not a cutoff score. It's one piece we look at when we're reviewing the whole applicant. And we typically like to, students typically get in the 50 percentile or above on the GRE. So if you start taking practice tests, that can kind of give you a sense of where you fall before you take the GRE. But even if you fall below that and your other pieces of information in the application we review as strong, the GRE is not going to be the reason you don't get, it won't be the only reason or the reason people don't get accepted.
Thank you.
Sure.
What types of places do students normally do their clinical work? What do internship opportunities look like in this program?
So the internship opportunities, internship is required for the program. You have to do a 600-hour internship at a mental health counseling agency, and that is a New York State requirement for programs to be able to be license eligible. So the internship is a part of the requirements. And our students are at all variety of sites that do mental health work. It has to be mental health work-based. It can be at a place like a school, but it can't be school counseling based. It would have to be mental health based. But we're at hospitals, college counseling centers, high schools, substance rehab programs, private practice places that have larger groups that have supervision available. So really anywhere where you would potentially do therapy or have counseling done, we have students at places like that.
Are there any specific research opportunities or projects available at this time?
So there is no research requirement with the master's program, but because it is in a division with a doctoral program, there's research opportunities. If you get accepted to the program, you know, you could try to connect with faculty that are doing research on things that you're interested in, and you know, see if you can take part in their research teams. So there are research opportunities for people that want to do research at the while they're a master's student, but there is no research requirement.
What career counseling or job placement opportunities are available with this program?
So there isn't anything that is specific for this program. The university has a career counseling center that helps people with career stuff as they're beginning to graduate. What we do allow, or what we do help with a lot, is you're going to do an internship, as I mentioned, at a local agency. Many of our students, because of the time you put in at that agency while you're training, many of our students get job offers from their internship sites. So we don't do job placement. We do the placement of your internship site, but oftentimes that internship site can turn into a job opportunity once you're getting ready to graduate.
How often do classes meet, and at what time of day?
So classes, the typical, if you go full time, it's a 12 credit per semester it's 5 straight semesters of 12 credits. The classes can meet at a variety of times. So this kind of relates to the question about the working, or one of the slides about working. The classes change semester to semester, and they can meet during the day or they can meet in the evening. It really depends on different pieces that go into the scheduling on the university side. So we do tell people, if you want to go full time, you need to work and go full time. You need to have a job that's flexible with changing your schedule from semester to semester. There's only, because we have one cohort that starts every year, there's only one offering of each of our courses in a calendar year. So if it's Tuesday at 8:50 in the morning, you have to be able to be there to stay on sequence. That is where the part-time piece of it could come in. If someone has to work and their job isn't flexible, then that's where, as long as they don't mind it taking up to 3 years or so, they could take courses as they're offered. You have to do a certain amount of coursework before you can go on practicum and internship. That's the last thing you're able to do in the program if you can't go full-time. It all kind of goes simultaneously if you go full-time, but if you miss a course that's required to go on practicum or internship, you wouldn't be able to take that course again until the following year. So the classes meet all over, the times can change. The idea is that the students have to be able to move their schedule around being able to take the classes.
Can you discuss the difference between a degree in mental health counseling and a master's in social work?
Yes, mental health counseling is just what it says. The training and the focus is purely on mental health counseling. Social workers can become counselors, but their training is more varied, in case management and other things. So if you can become a counselor with either degree, the big difference is mental health counseling is only focused on becoming a counselor. Social work counseling is one option of the training. So that would be the biggest thing I would say. So if you do job searches, there's a lot more job opportunities for social work, but that's because they do a lot more public health and case management and a wider variety of things. If mental health counseling is purely to be trained to become a mental health counselor.
Thank you.
Sure.
What makes a strong candidate, and what do you want to see in a statement of goals?
So a strong candidate can look a lot of different ways. We definitely, so one of the primary things we try to figure out within the application process is, does the person have the ability to complete master's work? Master's work is difficult, and this program is condensed, and there's a lot of work to do. The last thing we want to do is set people up for failure. So we look for evidence that the academic aptitude is there. That can be through a variety of ways, such as writing your personal statement, or how you do on the GRE if your GPA wasn't what you wanted it to be as an undergrad, and vice versa. If your GPA shows that you can really perform high level in the classroom, but your GREs just aren't there at the same rate, the well-written personal statement and the high GPA can kind of work to lift someone up whose GREs aren't as strong. So really, we look for a kind of a picture of whether the person has the academic aptitude to be able to complete the master's coursework, and that can be looked at from all those different pieces of information. In terms of the statement of goals, it's really your opportunity to, one, show us your writing ability, but two, to kind of tell your story. So that's really what we look like, or what we look for in the statement of goals. If you're going into this field and applying to our program, I think most people who do that are interested in helping people. But why are you interested in helping people? We're looking more for individual story at that point than we are, telling us about the field of mental health counseling.
Are there opportunities to gain teaching experience? This person referenced adjunct teaching.
Yeah, not so the university requires doctoral level, or you need to be a doctoral level, except for certain exceptions. You can be master's level in order to do adjunct teaching. So adjunct teaching would have to be post degree completion. There may be teaching opportunities at other local community colleges, but for at least University of Albany, there aren't any teaching opportunities until you're completed your degree.
I think I covered the scholarship cost aid, but I put it up on this just because it was a repeat question that lots of people asked. Again, like a lot of those questions really should be directed to our financial aid office. And like I mentioned, we have the School of Education scholarships. Dr. Gallo mentioned, the possibility of applying for an assistantship as a student here, but those questions are more appropriately directed to them. And then the final question, what are the steps to take to become a child and family therapist?
So a child and family therapist there's kind of two things or two ways you can think about it. As a licensed mental health counselor, you can do child and family therapy. Some of our internship opportunities will be at places that offer child and family counseling and therapy services. But there's also an additional certification that you could get to become a certified family therapist in addition or after your master's degree. It's not part of our program directly, but a lot of our coursework will help you prepare for that. And you can do child and family therapy work with a licensed mental health counselor degree.
Thanks. So those were the submitted questions. We do have some questions in the chat that we'll address. So the first question is, where do we take the GRE? So it depends on where you're located, but I'm going to put the website where you can find GRE test locations. It's through ETS, which I believe stands for Educational Testing Services. And so through that website, you can sign up for tests. I believe they're offered in many different locations. They're offered frequently. So that's the place to find that information. Are the summer classes offered online, or is this a fully in-person program?
So since we've always traditionally been an in-person program. Obviously, the pandemic shifted that for those couple of years. The last couple of years have continued to offer our courses online, which we probably will do again this upcoming summer. The reason being, it does allow for people. Our master's program starts right after graduation from the spring, so it can be difficult for people to get here if they have to move from another state or from another part of New York State. So I would say more likely than not, can say now, our summer courses will be online again this upcoming summer. The rest of the courses will be in person starting in the fall, if you're accepted in this next cycle.
We had another question. Someone is an adult student continuing their education. They have to work full time in order to maintain a lifestyle, pay bills, pay their mortgage. Is it possible to still do the program?
Yeah, so it's possible. It would be based on your work's flexibility of how quickly. To go full time, you would need to be able to attend the classes when they're offered. To go, there are other. I do see that you're UAlbany employee, so I understand the tuition voucher side of it. Because I was going to say there are some programs out there. There may even be some state at other universities. If the voucher is state based, I don't know that answer. That offer more of an online master's program. The other option is if there's a course you can't take at the time we offer it because of work, you can transfer some credits in. So you could potentially take a class at a different university if you can't do the time it's offered. Let's say, for example, our group counseling class. If it's offered at a time that you can't take because of work, you could take it online at another school, and as long as it matches our program, you can transfer those credits in to count for that requirement and get those credits. But we are a small program relatively. What I mean by that is with our cohort model, people come in together as one group, and it's an 18-month program that they complete together. So the courses, we only have the resources to offer courses one time each calendar year. And we are an in-person, designed to be a full-time program. So that's where, that's how the courses are set up. Unfortunately, for people who are looking for more flexibility, we just don't have that up. We don't have the ability to be more flexible in terms of when we can offer courses, because they're only offered once each year.
And if a student did want to work to transfer a course in, is that something that they could work with their advisor to have pre-approved before they decide to spend the time and money?
Yeah, so we can't pre-approve them, meaning we can't transfer credits and
Prior to
officially
taking-
approve
yeah.
it till it's completed. But it's, yes, we can look at them and tell you if it's going to be something that will be completed. And so a lot of the coursework requirements that we have in the program are related to the licensure for licensed mental health counseling. So if there's another program, every program basically has to offer the same classes, the same required classes. So, let's say University of Buffalo offers it online. They're going to offer the same content as us. It may look a little differently, but that will certainly be transferable because they also have to offer a group counseling class, for example. So it's not transferring credits is not a difficult thing as long as we can, make sure the class is matched up. And just by the nature of the field, if it's the same required course in a different online program, it's going to match our course.
And then for somebody who wants to potentially schedule coursework around their work, how long are the typical classes?
The typical classes run 3 hours. All of our courses are like the 3-hour block courses.
Yeah, so you would take the class once a week for 3 hours. If invited for an interview, would the interview be in person or via Zoom?
It would probably be via Zoom. The last couple of years we've done Zoom interviews. We will probably do that again. It's just easier to get everyone at this point, together on it. We do one interview day and try to bring everybody into one interview process instead of trying to schedule out individually. So it'll be Zoom again. I can make that statement.
Okay. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat. You can also feel free to shout out your question if you want, rather than enter in the chat. But if we don't have any other questions, I'm just going to enter the Pi Center email address in the, is there a semester by semester course layout available?
Yes.
I have a sample one, Dr. Gallo, that I can share out. And it is, like you said, a sample of a course schedule. Yours might not look exactly like what the layout is that I can send you, but definitely generally would follow the same layout, which I can
send. So with whatever layout you have, the only thing that can change is a course here or there. The practicum sequence never changes. And the general layout of the curriculum never changes. Perhaps year to year, the theories course could be in the summer and the behavioral disorders course could be in the fall, and maybe they get flip-flopped, but it's not any substantial changes to the curriculum.
Someone did ask if they have additional questions after the session, who to reach out to. I would say to reach out to the Pi Center first, and then, like I said, we can connect you with someone if we aren't the ones to answer your question. How many hours outside of the course itself are you expected to spend on coursework?
There isn't a set, number of hours outside of a course. I would say from an expectation standpoint, I would expect probably minimum of 2 or 3 hours outside each course. Some are going to be a little bit more than that, and some are going to be a little bit less than that. I'm not going to, I put in it's a rigorous master's program. And that the expectation is that the students will be able to put the effort in to be able to handle that rigorous class. If someone is unable to, someone accepted is struggling with coursework, we do try to work with the students though, once you're accepted, to help you get through the program. So even if that does mean, not taking the full load of classes and finding an alternative way to get those completed, things like that. But it is I'm not going to pretend that it's not a rigorous master's program. It's a lot of work in 18 months. It's just the nature of the way our curriculum is built.
And we just got another question that said, you mentioned that part-time isn't really an option, but you did mention that it is. It just significantly prolongs.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's not an option. It's not a common option. Most people that choose our program versus other programs that have a little more flexible scheduling do it because they want to be done in 18 months. So it is an option. It's just that the ability to, so if you can't take a course that's offered in the fall, it's not going to be offered again till next fall. It's not going to be offered in the summer or spring. So it's definitely an option. It's not the typical option because most people that come to our program want to get done in the 18 months. Typically, if you want to do part-time, it usually takes an additional year to 18 months, depending on which courses you need to take part-time.
Now, what about when they get to the internship?
So the internship, similar to the coursework in the sense that if you have flexibility with your work and can fit the internship site schedule in with your work schedule, it's something that can be done. But once you're on internship, you are typically going to be at your site around 25 hours per week. So, depending on what your work schedule is and how flexible that can be, fitting the two together isn't easy sometimes, but for some people it is doable. We do have students who work and complete the program. What it really comes down to is their ability to be flexible with their work schedule. If you have to be in a business office or like an office or business setting 9 to 5, it will be really difficult to complete our master's program. There's other options out there that are better for people than our master's program if you have to be somewhere 9 to 5. But we have people who do 40-hour jobs, work full time, but they have flexibility within that work schedule to work around the classes and when they're offered. So it's possible to work. Many of our students work and complete the master's program. It really, the thing that determines it is the flexibility at the work side of it. If you have a rigid work schedule, we're not the master's program for you. If you have flexibility in your work schedule, we absolutely could be a program that can work. So I hope that kind of clears that work versus program kind of piece of it. Because I recognize that people need to work and make money to survive. So we just have limited resources in terms of when we can offer our courses, so they can only be offered the one time a year that we're able to do that.
Someone asked if the internships are unpaid.
Internships are unpaid. But they are credits. So of the 60 credits, 15 of them are the practical experience. So we've occasionally had a paid internship, but that's only if the site where you get placed is willing to pay. They're not paid through the program. But again, it's a 60 credit master's, but 12 of the credits is internship and 3 is practicum. So it's not working in addition to your 60 credits. It's part of your 60 credit master's.
And then someone asked about the cohort size and acceptance rate. We kind of talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we'll probably have at least 32 or 33, and we don't really want to go over 36 or 37. So we try to have it fall kind of in that 32 to 36 range.
There is a CAPS, so like on-campus CAPS offers internships for PhD. What about the master's program?
So we actually are talking with them. In the past, we've had some students do their internship at CAPS. The last 2 years, we have not. They may be willing to take master's students for internship again in the next cycle that we're doing. We're going to place a student at Skidmore College this year. We've had students at Siena College and St. Rose. So college counseling opportunities are there, College Counseling Center. We've had our master's students do their internship at RCAPS in the past, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that again, even possibly this spring, our next cycle of placements.
Thanks. Any other questions? Would you typically do classes with internships, or do classes all come first and then internship?
Yep. So the first 2 semesters, I can kind of I'll kind of talk through the curriculum path right now. And it will be very, very similar, if not exactly the same. The summer is 12 credit. If you go full time, is 12 credits of online courses. It'll be 2 classes in the first 6-week session, and then 2 classes in the third 6-week session. So it's 2 classes that are a little more condensed in the summer, online, that are going to meet each group of 6-week session. So 12 credits will be done online, all coursework in the summer. In the fall, we have what's called our pre-practicum course. Oh, great! Yeah,
I just pulled this up. Yeah,
this is perfect. This is
okay.
Great. So the pre-practicum course, if you see 612, is where you begin to practice counseling skills. So it's still all in class work. So 12 more credits of in class work, but part of that is you begin to do small labs with fellow students to begin working on counseling skills. If those 2 semesters go successfully, you get placed at a practicum site for the spring. That's the 602 course. So you'll have 3 in-class classes, and then your practicum course is also 3 credits. That's the 602. So you're doing your practicum out at an agency around 15 hours a week and taking 3 courses on campus. Then in the summer, if all goes well, you move on to internship, that 25 hours or so a week, but that's worth 6 credits of the 12 credits. So for summer, you're still 12 credits, but it's only the 2 electives would be in class or online in the summer, potentially, while you're doing coursework, or excuse me, while you're out at your internship site. And then the same for the fall. The internship is 6 credits, and there's 2 more courses to take. So as you go out at the agency and do more work out at the internship sites, you have less on campus class work to do. So it starts out, all 12 credits are in class the first 2 semesters. Then the spring it shifts to 9 and 3, and then 6 and 6 for the summer and fall.
What electives are there?
So this summer we're going to be offering our family therapy course as an elective, which we typically do. And then we offer something called Institutes course, which is 3 1-credit intervention strategy courses. In the past, we've done spirituality, we've done PTSD, interpersonal therapy. So there'll be 3 1-credit courses that add together. So 3 different intervention strategies that add together for 1 3-credit elective. And then in the fall, a lot of states are beginning to require human sexuality as a course. New York State does not require it, so we've put human sexuality as one of our electives that we offer that last fall. We will continue to do that. So officially it goes as an elective, but a lot of states, not a lot, but California and Florida both require it right now. So we make sure that human sexuality is offered as well. So in terms of placements, yep, I saw that one. There's a few pieces that go into the placements. We definitely try to place people at an agency where the 2 things that would go into play are the kinds of populations they're interested in, and then also travel issues. People have a different ability to travel to sites. Some people need to be on bus lines, or maybe in Albany, where some people can travel up to Saratoga, or places like that. So that goes into it, that travel ability for people, but also the kinds of populations they want to work with. For example, we wouldn't place someone at an agency that works with children if they're not interested in working with children. So we try to match interest and travel ability with good supervision. I mean, at the heart of it, it's the training that we're more worried about than the specific population of that training. But we do try to put those three pieces together: good training and supervision at a type of population the student's interested in, and then make sure they can get there.
These are some really great questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning into this afternoon. And if you do have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to the PI Center. We're happy to help. And yeah, we hopefully will see some of your names come through as applicants. That would be wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Gallo, for all of the information and for being here.
One piece related to applications, it's a December 15th deadline, but as long as you get the application itself submitted by December 15th, then your application will be in. It won't be complete yet if not all the pieces are in there. But as long as you get the application submitted by December 15th, you're good. The GRE scores can come after, letters of recommendation can come after, things like that. Just make sure you get that application itself submitted by December 15th, and then some of the supporting materials can come after. We'll try to offer the interview invites by probably the first or second week of January. And then I believe we're going to do it the second week of February would be the actual interview day. And then very quickly after that, hopefully by the beginning of March, we'd give people an idea of where they stood, whether, going to be accepted or offered acceptance, or maybe offered on the wait list or denied, things like that. So that's kind of the schedule ahead. But I definitely want people to realize that even if you don't have the GRE scores or all the recommendations in by December 15th, as long as you get that application submitted by that deadline, the file gets opened and then the other materials can come in after. And then I saw the last question that popped in was probably by the second week of January, you'll hear about interviews. And then the interview themselves will be second week of February.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Take care, everybody. Bye.